You ever watch a TV show that you're like, you've seen the entire series, so you know how it ends, right? But when you go back and rewatch it, you see the two love interests and they're about to meet and you're just like, oh my gosh, you guys are gonna fall in love. Or if you see a character who's gonna die and you're like, if only you knew you were gonna die in season 3. Hey YouTube, it's me Sydney, and I am here today to do a little bit of a writer chat video vlog sort of discussion thingy. Basically, I just want you guys to get to know me a little bit as a writer, my history with writing, and some of the things I'm working on right now. So I guess just to give a little bit of context, I started writing in 2009, right at the beginning of the year, and I've been writing ever since. It was probably a couple of years into that where I realized, okay, writing is my passion, it's my calling in life. Because I remember growing up, I'd always wonder, I wonder what my calling in life is going to be. You know, when is it going to hit me? When am I going to know? What is it going to be, you know? So it was kind of cool to finally realize, oh, it's writing. I've been doing it for like 2 or 3 years so far, and I love it. And to be honest with you, when I first started writing, I thought it was going to be like a phase, you know. I go through a lot of phases where I'm particularly interested in different hobbies or tasks or whatever, but they usually don't last very long, like maybe a few months, maybe even a couple of years. So I was very afraid that writing was going to become one of those phases, and I'm so glad. I mean, fingers crossed, it's been like 8 years, you know, it hasn't ended yet, and I can't honestly see myself not writing in the future. But again, you know, anything could change, so I'm just really hoping that this is what I want to do in life, that I don't change my mind, that I don't wake up tomorrow and decide I want to do something else, or that I never want to write again. So like I mentioned in a previous video, I just graduated college, and when I was in college I majored in technical writing and I minored in creative writing because my school didn't offer creative writing as a major. And so I took 6 different creative writing classes, 3 fiction classes, 1 nonfiction writing class, which I really enjoyed. Did not realize, because I only took it because I needed 1 more creative writing credit, and that was the only class that worked with my schedule, but I actually ended up really enjoying it. I wrote 4 nonfiction essays that I really like. And I would never have written those if I'd never joined the class, because I never would have written those on my own. I've also taken a screenwriting class, which I also really enjoyed, and wow, screenwriting is a really helpful tool as a novelist because it really helps to teach you about pacing, the order of scenes, and scene like causality within scenes. Like this scene needs to affect that scene, which needs to affect that scene. You know, it's not just these random scenes that are here just for whatever reason. So yeah, 3 fiction classes, 1 screenwriting class, a nonfiction class, and the last class I took, which actually wasn't the last class, I took it in my sophomore year, it was like a narrative forms class. So it was like looking at different story forms, so like flash fiction, epic fiction, and mythology were the 3 I think that we touched on. Yeah, so it's just kind of like broadening my creative writing horizons. I haven't done any sort of playwriting. I'd love to do that. I've written like some random poems. If an idea for a poem just strikes me out of the blue, I'll just write it down really quickly. And I'd like to do a little bit more dabbling in other types of writing, because I do think that, especially if you find yourself maybe creatively blocked with whatever project you're working on, diving into other types of writing or even other types of other creative acts can help you regain that sense of creativity. I am considering going to grad school for creative writing, and you don't have to. I just really enjoy that collective writing environment. Everybody in the class is, you know, they're here to write. I want to do some writing conferences in the future, or writing retreats. The future is wide open for writers. I'm working on two different series right now. I'm on the first book of each one, and the first series, which I got the idea for November 2nd, 2009, when I decided that I wanted to create my own mythical creature, and so I did, and that's how the series went on from there. At this point, where I am with that story is back in August, I finished the first draft of that story, and I was like kind of like feeling bittersweet about it. Like, you know, I'm really proud of myself because I'd never done that before. I've always kind of like gotten so far in a draft and then I'd completely restart, or I'd be writing, I'd go back and edit what I'd already written, so I was barely moving forward. And even when I did move forward, I was jumping around so much it was kind of hard to get into the flow of the piece, and so I never really finished it. I think I got to the 3rd draft, and in the middle of that I decided I was overwhelmed. I didn't really know how I wanted to go about editing, so I put it down, and that was about October, November time frame. But now I'm getting back into this story. I figured out why it wasn't working before, and it wasn't so much my process, my editing process. I mean, even though that did need work, because that was the first time I'd ever really been able to do that. The issue with that story was that I always felt like the world wasn't big enough. So I've since in the past month or so gone back and done some serious world building, and I'm really proud of where it's going right now. And so I hope to work on it really soon. I'm currently working on my other project at the moment. And just to differentiate these two projects when I talk about them on my channel, they both have titles, or working titles at least, but I don't want to give those away. And so this story that I'm talking about now, where I got to draft 3 and I gave up and now I'm getting back into the world building of it, I'm going to refer to that as Project Stormcloud, just because, Stormcloud is relevant to the series in some way. My other series I'm going to refer to as Project Pitchfork. So as for my other story, Project Pitchfork, back in actually June 1st, I finished the first draft of that. I wrote 41,000 words in May for that story. So that was the most I'd ever written in a month. So I'm like really proud of myself for that. I felt like the story was so much stronger after completing the first draft than Project Stormcloud was. But of course, things need work, and it's just about how much work does it need. Am I brave enough to go? Am I ready to go about fixing it? And I've struggled with that because this is the first serious edit that I've done. I don't know if the last round count. That was kind of like a testing the waters, if you will. I'm still testing the waters. I've got the writing process down, but I'm not so sure about the editing process. After I finished the first draft, I pretty much immediately dived back in and tried to line edit, and I know you're not supposed to line edit on the first draft, especially when there are big picture changes, and I know that, but it was one of those things where I'm like, oh, okay, I'm just going to read through and I can fix everything as I go. No, you need multiple drafts or else you're just going to get overwhelmed. And I did. And I knew it was going to happen, and I still did anyway. About 11 chapters in, I was like, okay, this is not going to work. And so I gave it a few days, and then when I picked it back up, the way I did it was I use OneDrive as my storage keeping file cloud service, so I figured out a way to get OneDrive online to read it out loud to me. I listened to my entire book over the course of about a week, and I had a notebook and I was taking notes on everything that I wanted to change, everything from like, oh, I missed the word here or something like that, to I think this scene would go better, or even just like, this scene has really great pacing, or this was a really fun scene to write. Just basically all my thoughts, I compiled it into a journal for each chapter. And then once I finished that, where I'm at now is where I'm going through those chapter notes and I'm taking it one chapter at a time. I'm rearranging some scenes. I'm fixing, like for example, there's a couple of characters whose names I decided to change, so I'm doing that kind of thing. Yeah, so sorry that was a bit rambly, but basically I just wanted to kind of get you caught up on where I am with each of these series. I hope to be finished going through each chapter of Project Pitchfork hopefully in the next couple of weeks. I'm at chapter 30 now, and there are 65 chapters, so I'm about halfway done. And then after this, I know I'm going to have to do another couple of rounds of edits. I'm hoping to I have a timeline for my story, like this scene happens on this date, and then a couple of days later this scene happens. And I've changed it so much that I just need to do one go through of the entire story with my solidified timeline in mind. And then I'm going to go through and do line editing, because I think that I'm getting a lot closer with the big picture stuff, and that's what I'm more working on with this round. Yeah, that's where I am with those two stories right now. Something I realized maybe a couple of weeks ago is that in the past 12 months I have finished writing 2 books. Of course there's still work that needs to be done, but just like getting through the entire draft, I've done that twice. I was thinking about that and I was like, wow, that's pretty cool actually, because I've never accomplished anything like that in my entire writing career. It's always like, again, stopping, starting stories, so there's no real tangible end product, and I'm really proud of myself for it. Bit of a pat out back to old Sydney there. I hope you enjoyed listening to me kind of ramble about my sort of history and experience with writing. I hope to make this a series, just talking about different aspects of writing, whether it's a writing vlog where you kind of follow me along as I'm actually doing the writing or editing process, or whether I do a discussion video where I talk about a particular aspect of writing, or if I come up with an issue and I just want to talk it out, and just to kind of update you, like, oh, I finished a draft, or oh, I'm doing this, whatever stage of the writing editing process I'm in, I'd like to share that with you guys. In the comments, let me know what story you're working on and what kinds of progress you've made on that. Thank you guys so much for watching. Give this video a like, subscribe for more content to come, and I will see you in the next one. Bye! What do I say now?